This is why parents should believe their kids. In 2010, a 15-year-old boy started to notice that the door to his attic, which was in his bedroom, was always open. One day, when his mom's giving him a hard time about being lazy, he's like, well, you're one to talk. You always leave my attic door open. She's like, I haven't touched your attic door in months, and nobody else has either. Not easily frightened, the boy decides to leave the attic door open. And so he's laying in bed, and he kind of looks over at the door, and standing in the door frame is a figure staring right at him. He bolts, tells his parents, they don't believe him, and then 6 months later they move anyway. A few years later, the boy discovers his favorite teacher actually moved into his old house. And so he jokingly asks her, you ever see any ghosts walking around your attic? Her face got completely serious, and she's like, as soon as we moved in, the door to the attic kept opening. So we investigated, and we found a trap door that led onto the roof. Someone had been crawling in through that entrance and living in the attic for years. I was gonna do something scripted for this, but I'm just gonna speak from the heart. I am crushed to find out that TikTok really is getting banned here in a matter of hours in the US. I never would have thought that, 6 months ago when I posted my first scary story that it would have turned into what it has for me and my family. It's opened up more opportunities than I could have ever dreamed of. It's also given me a new purpose in life to create content for people. I love doing that, and TikTok's really been a great outlet for me. Leaving the military was hard, and honestly, content creation's been such a huge part of my new life here. So thank you all so much for giving me that opportunity, and I hope I'll see you on YouTube. I post all the time over there. My channel is Mr. Ballin. I also post on Instagram. My channel is John Ballin, 416 on Instagram. So sad day, but I love all of you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope to see you over on YouTube and Instagram.
This is part 4 of why boys should cut all contact with their ex when they get a new girl. So I'm beating up those 3 grown men and my boyfriend's ex with my bat. I accidentally break their windshield and I don't feel bad about it. And that's when the police show up. No one was recording the incident, so when the police got there, those 3 grown men and my boyfriend's ex tried to lie and say that they were the ones who got attacked. But little did they know we had cameras all around our house and it recorded the whole incident. I tell the police I was beating them for self-defense and that my mom was inside and she was already injured. Later on, we were able to file assault and trespassing charges. But anyways, I ride with my mom in the ambulance. Then I go to text my boyfriend to tell him what happened. I forgot to mention earlier on, I had told my boyfriend multiple times to completely block his ex on all social medias. But he didn't, so she would constantly like all of his photos, constantly DM him, and he told me that he would just ignore her. And so I don't just text him what had happened. I also make sure to break up with him. Because if he had blocked her on all socials and cut contact with her, then his ex would have never known that we were dating, and my mom wouldn't be completely paralyzed on the right side of her face.
Storytime about my extremely toxic boyfriend. So when I was in high school, I was dating this boy for 3 months. We're gonna call him Nick. And my friends hated him because he was super mean to all of them, but he was super nice to me. Well, after dating for about a month, he started acting super weird. Like, he stopped paying attention to me, he didn't want to hang out with me. And I was going through a depression this time because my dad had just died. I wasn't really doing my makeup anymore, I wouldn't do my hair anymore. And I started gaining a little bit of weight because all I would do is sleep in bed all the time. Eat 24/7. Well, soon our 2 months was coming up. And he wanted to go to this party. So I literally begged him to FaceTime me. And I was asking him, oh, what should I wear? So I put on this dress that was really tight-fitting, which I was already super uncomfortable about wearing because of the fact that I had a little bit of a belly now. So he picks me up, we go to this party, and I go and I start hanging out with a few of my friends. Well, one of my friends comes over and shows me something that he posted on his private story, Life for Part 2.
Part 3 of why you should have one loyal friend instead of hanging out with a big group of friends. So I go into the bathroom and there's a window. I'm thinking to myself, I would be so dumb. I would be so extremely incredibly stupid to go back into that room full of grown-ass men that I've never met before, instead of making my escape through that window right here, right now. So I trusted my gut and I got the fuck out of there. Mind you, I'm in my PJs right now. No shoes, no socks. I'm making my great escape. Call me Pablo Escobar. While I was doing all of it, I was in disbelief. Like, I cannot believe that I'm escaping, like, right now. Like, this is actually insane. Like, I did what I believed was right at the moment. And honestly, that decision might be the reason why I'm alive right now. So I make a run for it. I immediately run to the front of the neighborhood. I hide behind some trees and then I call my sister. I call my sister instead of my parents because my mom was the one who drove me there. And if she knew that something bad happened, she wouldn't have let me go out again. I'm frantically explaining everything on the phone to my sister. She literally speeds to come get me. When she gets there, I immediately hop in her car and we get the fuck out of there. On our way home, I get a text from Sally.
So he was working at the morgue, and again, this guy was looking good. Here comes the part where I throw up. He asked me out on a date, And like I said, he was looking good, so I said yes. I was recently divorced. Well, we went out on a couple dates. Yes, we did the dirty. That's the most disgusting part. But the weird part out of all of this is that he always told me to act dead. He didn't want me to move at all. Again, I was not creeped out until I found out why he wanted me to do it. Well, I didn't hear from Gus for about a week, and I was very concerned. Well, one day on my way to work, I hear on the radio that they're looking for Gus. Obviously, they say his last name. When I tell you I was in shock, I had to go to the cops, let them know that I was in a relationship with him. There was a whole investigation, and they told me that he was sleeping with a corpse. Apparently, one of his coworkers walked in on him. Yikes.
She sliced her face? Story time. Y'all, this is why you do not mess with the quiet kids. In 11th grade, I used to be friends with this girl named Olivia. And Olivia was one of those people who were really shy, kind of to themselves, didn't really speak much, you know what I mean? And this other girl, who we're gonna name Nicole, used to bully Olivia to the point where Olivia was scared to come to school sometimes. And Olivia tried telling the teachers and even tried telling the parents, but no one did anything about it. So I was like, if no one's gonna help you out, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to fight that bitch, okay? And make sure you get her good. Let her know that you are not the one to be played with. So the next day, Olivia comes to school and she's like, when I see Nicole, it's going down. And I was like, okay, girl, do you. I'm proud of you. Well, she ends up running into Nicole shortly after that. And when she sees her, she pulls out a razor blade from her mouth and slices Nicole in the face.
Part 3 about the worst night of my life. So before she points the knife at me, she had been in the kitchen, right? So I went to go and sneak out the door. That's whenever she ran over, ripped the knife out of the door, and pointed it right at me. And she's like screaming a bunch of shit at me. And she's like, oh, what, are you gonna tell your dad that I pointed a knife at you? And I told her, yeah, like, what the fuck do you mean? Am I not gonna tell him? So at this point, she tries to take my phone. I told her, no, you're not taking my phone. And at this time, my sister's also texting me and yelling at me because she had told me that I should not go to my mom's house. Probably for that exact reason. A few minutes later, she hears her boyfriend pull up. I had never met her boyfriend. Like I said, I haven't seen her in probably almost a year. As soon as she hears him pull up, she looks at me and she says, go out the back door. She literally hurries up, takes me to the back door, and I have to run out the back door. I don't even know where I am. My sister and stepdad were waiting at the gas station across the street, so I ran over there really quickly. And then a few things happened after that. Let me know if you guys want a part 4.
Storytime about how I was groomed for almost 2 years and didn't even know. So like I said, my mom used to ask for pictures to make sure that I was really at Samantha's house. Well, Samantha lived about 10 minutes away from the guy that I was talking to. Every time that I went to her house, I would leave at about 8 p.m. and go over to his house. And he was 26 years old. And obviously I knew my parents would freak the fuck out if they found out. And we had planned to keep this a secret until I turned 18. So that way my parents couldn't tell me that I wasn't allowed to be with him. To flash forward to about 3 days before I turned 18, my mom comes into my work. She walks up to me, shows me a picture of him, and says, who the hell is this? So of course I say I have no idea who the hell she's talking about. She said okay and then left. Well, as soon as I got home, her and my dad were sitting in the living room, waiting for me to explain who that man was. So I told them everything. They decided not to take legal action, but my mom explained to me that I was so young and he took advantage of me and stuff like that, so I never saw him again.